was.
Oh my goodness, here we are back again, and let's discuss Donald Trump. What a very big night last night. But does Ted Cruz have a fighting chance to catch up now that Marco Rubio is out of the race? So much palace intrigue. Such a wonderful party panel tonight, including Melissa Francis, co-host of After the Bell, right here on Fox Business. Michael Malice is also here. Get his book immediately. It is called Dear Reader. It's the pop culture guide to North Korea. Nomiki Konst is also here, Democratic strategist and former DNC council member. A council member, so legit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Donald Trump's victory and where does Ted Cruz go from here? The establishment does not like him. Is there any way he can get milk from their dry, unloving teat?
Wow. I'm still trying to get over his anchor pose at the top of the show. I'm not sure you saw that. That was really something to behold.
So handsome.
I don't know what's going to happen with the poor establishment.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sort of ripping their hair out and going bananas, and Trump's really enjoying it. The more tortured they are, the more happy he is. But then at the end, everybody's got to sort of sing Kumbaya and get together.
They do.
Or else there isn't going to be a win for the Republicans again. So he's going to have the opportunity to prove that he's a unifier. During his speech, he was funny. He had a joke writer.
Yeah.
It got punched up. There was somebody from SNL helping him there. I mean, he did bits about himself. I mean, he talked about how the hate ads were only 90% true or 90% false, one of those two things. And I don't know. I mean, maybe he can bring everybody together in a big loving hug.
Well, at least he had a more focused speech, because last week after his victories, he had the press conference. He was shilling the meat and the water and the vodka.
Sure.
And it was a very interesting display. But you think the path is actually quite clear for Trump? Even if with Rubio out of the race, let's say that all of Rubio's support magically falls to Ted Cruz.
But once again, you're doing what the establishment is doing, which is magical thinking.
Yes, exactly right.
The idea that all these Rubio voters' second choice is going to be Cruz or Kasich or Trump, it's not organic that way.
Yeah.
You know, when Jeb dropped out, a lot of Jeb's voters went to Trump, which was completely counterintuitive. People like to follow someone who's in the lead because they're kind of pack animals. And the math doesn't play out because many of the states that are left that are winner take all are places like California, New York, New Jersey, and those are all states that Trump is going to do far stronger in than Cruz, who's better in like the mid, like Oklahoma and Texas.
And I understand that California is very late on the primary calendar, but there's an open primary. You know, there is a state with a lot of economic uncertainty, and I think Donald Trump's message plays quite well in parts of California that are not San Francisco and Los Angeles.
And those, right, and Pennsylvania and places like that.
Yeah. So is Trump a foregone conclusion? And does that delight you as a Democratic strategist?
No, it freaks me out. I mean,
really?
I think he's so unpredictable that you can't plan a strategy around him. And Hillary Clinton right now, because she's not malleable, she's not somebody who can, she doesn't have the instincts to play off of him. She's not a Joe Biden, as I like to say. And he is. He's so good at deflecting. He's so good at attacking, going for the jugular. I don't think that anybody in the Democratic establishment is prepared for that. I don't think the Republican establishment is prepared for that. And I think that's their fear. Not just that he's uncontrollable, but he's unpredictable.
That's a really good point, because, you know, she has to have everything pre-written for her, and she's pretty good at delivering those lines when she's practicing them, and she has a message. But I cannot think of a candidate who will take someone else more off message than Donald Trump, which makes him very dangerous.
We've already seen Clinton versus Trump, and it was Rubio versus Trump. Rubio kind of sparked and started repeating the same things, and her in the debates is going to be the exact same situation. All he has to do is challenge her to say, ask your husband, or say, I dare you to say fundamentalist Islamic terrorism, in which case she's either obedient to him or looks like a crazy lady.
See, I think the thing that she really does is she slaps the label on people that they can't scrape off, no matter how much gooby gone, you know, they go and buy online, they can't get it off. And his label on her is that she doesn't have the energy or the strength to be president.
That's right.
And when she stands up there, I mean, even last night she had no voice.
But see, that's the thing that Jeb had the hardest time with, was when Trump tagged him low energy. It was a strong enough perception and a difficult perception for him to counter. How do you do that? Training for an Iron Man triathlon?
And wait until she has a coughing fit during the debate, and he starts firing insults at her, and then she's screwed.
He's already gone after her taking a bathroom break. Speaking of which, Hillary Clinton dominated in last night's Democratic primaries. Good for you, HRC. Pushing her ever closer to taking her party's nomination is Bernie Sanders, officially just a protest candidate now. Is there any hope for Bernie in this rigged system?
It is a completely rigged system. As a former DNC council member, I'll tell you, this system was designed in 81 with this thing called the Hunt Commission, which was to prevent leftist candidates like McGovern or any of these outsider establishment candidates from running. And that's what Super Tuesday was built, so that southern states, conservative states, were stacked to the front, so more conservative Democrats could have the momentum. She has taken advantage of that system. She basically budged out any other candidates from running, viable candidates, early on by getting the superdelegates. But to be fair, Bill Clinton lost the first 11 out of 12 primary states, and the difference is only 320.
1992, very different time, though,
It
and the rules feel vastly different. And he also didn't have Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Right.
Are you excited for the triumph of America's mother-in-law, as you have coined her on this very show?
I agree with everything Nomi said, that Debbie Wasserman Schultz and her coven, their lifelong mission was to have a female nominee come hell or high water, probably hell. I am ecstatic that Hillary is going to be the nominee, because now we're going to have 6 months of her saying things like Nancy Reagan cured AIDS and all this other nonsense.
Oh
the second she starts, that lady needs an improv class, because as soon as she gets on the mic, she's just, saying things that resonate with people for years. I was under sniper fire, we're dead broke. She says bad things in such a clever way, you can't forget about that.
But that's also, I mean, to keep that in perspective, Donald Trump is Teflon. In a weird way, Hillary Clinton is too, despite all this.
Not anymore. Oh,
but
no.
She has
No, you don't think so?
But this is going to be the end of how many people were salivating last night that you talked to who said, and I mean, I talked to a lot of people who were like, I hate Trump, but what I love about this is that he will finally rip Hillary Clinton apart. Like, finally, you'll see someone who has the strength to go after her and can make it stick. Because for whatever reason, when he takes his magnifying glass on his opponents like the ant under the sun, he scorches them until they burst into flames.
And you know what?
And it's going to happen to her.
She's going to start smoking very, very soon. And I think it is causing worry in that campaign, the likes of which they have never seen, but they soon will. Coming up, President Obama chooses a moderate as his Supreme Court nominee. With the ball now in Republicans' court, will they make the right move? Or any move? And later, Ron Paul tells me a little something surprising. A few parallels between his 2012 presidential campaign and one Bernie Sanders. Stay with me. Hello there, you. President Obama nominated moderate Merrick Garland. Oh, Merrick Garland. That sounds like a soap opera name. The chief judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia to the Supreme Court earlier today. The president challenged Republicans not to dismiss his pick.
I simply ask Republicans in the Senate to give him a fair hearing, and then an up or down vote. If you don't, then it will not only be an abdication of the Senate's constitutional duty, it will indicate a process for nominating and confirming judges that is beyond repair.
Yeah, well, that's not what Judge Napolitano says. He says the Senate can decide their own timeline, and that is in the Constitution. What? My party panel is back. It's Melissa Francis, Michael Malice, and Nomiki Konst. Look at that. What a handsome group this is. My goodness. Michael Malice, what is President Obama saying with this pick?
I think for his term, he's been trying to make the Supreme Court look like a Benetton ad. He's been using quotas. He's been putting people who are different minorities, and he doesn't want it to be old white people. Remember, in 2008, the whole argument from the Democrats is the era of old white men is over. But now those old white men...
Thanks, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, but now those old white men are putting Trump in charge, and they're angry, and they're voting, and that's putting fear into the Democratic Party. So I think this is a sop to that group so that maybe they'll be able to get some of those votes back. Because if he put forth some other minority, this would be even more ammunition for the fringe right to be like, look, they're trying to destroy America.
Well, it certainly wasn't a tip of the hat to the fringe left, because a lot of liberals are going to be upset because he is considered to be a liberal moderate. You know, he's not right of center by any means necessary or by any stretch of the imagination, but is he a sacrificial lamb?
Is this nominee a sacrificial?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a sacrificial lamb. I think that you're right. That's a strategy. I don't know if it's going to be effective. And if it's not effective, then it will go to the Republicans. So I think this is the last chance that he has an opportunity here to get this nominee passed.
Yeah.
If he had gone with the left, and trust me, my Facebook feed is overflowing right now. People are pissed off that's not a woman. They're pissed off that's not a minority.
He's put 2 women on the court.
We need
Doesn't
more.
matter. Yeah.
Well, I think that the left really.
Do we?
This is a majority woman panel here. You really? Are you sure you want to go there?
I'm not a Democrat. I don't believe in majority
You
rule.
are outnumbered, Malice.
You asked what he was
about
saying
numbers.
originally. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? What show am I on? You asked what the president was saying. He's saying, I double dog dare you guys to stand there and do nothing. Like, he put a candidate out who would be very hard to object to. I mean, he was voted like most popular in his high school graduating class.
He's
Everyone
friends
likes
with John
him. I mean,
Roberts.
Right? I mean, people on both sides of the aisle have liked him, and he gave up a lot. I mean, he's an older candidate. It's not a legacy candidate, like you said. He doesn't check check any of the boxes. People are furious on both sides. I mean, when I said that he was relatively moderate on another show, I immediately got hammered with he's a gun grabber, he's pro-choice.
Yeah.
I mean, all these different things. So he kind of makes everyone and no one happy at the same time. He's a perfect candidate.
Pro-big government, and he's not exactly a libertarian. But I think what he's doing with this, and I think you're right about
Double
that.
dog dare.
Yeah, he's saying, okay, you think this guy's bad? Wait till Hillary's in office. Like, you think you don't like me now with this moderate who, could be a swing voter.
Oh, come on.
He's the number
He could
one.
be Souter.
He's not going to be a swing voter. Like, as soon as people get into that Supreme Court, they all usually veer left, even the people who are conservatives to begin with, ostensibly.
I
You
don't
know
know
why?
about that.
Because they're retired, they're on the government dole, they don't care anymore.
That's exactly right.
There's no free marketeering under those black robes.
Preach it, sister.
As far as we know.
Girl.
Those Supreme Court justices, they don't care.
There's no justice in that
Slackers.
Supreme
To be
Court.
fair, he's the number one most consensus judge out there. That's his rating by the justices of
This
the
is not an
country.
era
Is
of
consensus
consensus.
good?
This is an era of discord and hatred, and I, for
really
one,
is.
couldn't be happier.
And it's an era of judicial activism.
Yes.
Well, there you have it. That's the final word. The panel returns later, for I say it is so. A Tennessee politician wants to put an end to PC culture in college campuses, trying to silence those poor university students who want to speak their minds. Their little empty minds. Oh, Walter, you can serenade me with your dulcet tones anytime you like. T-E-N-N-E-S-S-E, Tennessee is considering a bill that would protect the free speech of college students. The Tennessee Student Free Speech Protection Act would prohibit universities from establishing bias systems to report on students when no threats or harassment occurred. And it would ban punishing students for the content, of their lawful speech. The party panel is back to chew on this. We got Melissa Francis, Michael Malice, and Mickey Kunst. Do you agree with the aim of this legislation?
Why not? Free speech should always be protected. And when you have institutions, it's up to their opinion whether or not that speech is valid. We may not all like what students are doing, but they have the right. That's what college campuses are known for. Anytime you put it in the institutions through their objectivity, their lens of objectivity, how are they going to determine what's valid and what's not? I mean, if someone...
Because they're no longer objective. I mean, that's the problem.
Institutions aren't.
No, but these the colleges and universities, there's so much subjectivity when it comes to determining what are microaggressions, what are triggers, and you have students who are unfairly punished and forced into these tiny zones that are hardly considered bastions of free speech.
I'm all for free speech. It's protected no matter what. If there's a protest, sure, they can try to shut down the protest, but they still have the right to protest.
I don't know. I don't think free speech is actually occurring on college campuses. I think that is a naive way of looking at these things. But what about the legislation? What are some of the unintended consequences?
Well, this Bernie Sanders campaign has got me nostalgic for Kent State. Remember the days?
What?
Yeah, you heard me. The days when the cops would come on campuses and put these disgusting hippies in their place. The ultimate safe space is a prison sentence.
Wow.
And these whiny little thugs like that professor from Missouri who wanted muscle to shove journalists off campus should not be treated with kid gloves. They should be treated with the full extent of the law. If you accept money from the government, then that government has the right to regulate how you run your business. Yeah. And this should just be a start. Next stop should be taking away people's right to tenure.
I would love to do away with tenure because I think, that to me is a separate issue, but universities and colleges operate as cartels. They've got absolutely no incentive to produce, especially when you have teachers who cannot get fired.
This is crony capitalism at its absolute worst.
That is
I don't know. I got an A+ in critical and analytical thinking, and I couldn't sort my way through that intro and see what we're against free speech for aggression, and we're protecting this, and it's like the language has gotten so complicated around the idea of what we're protecting and what we're upset, and these new words that we've made up of microaggression. Is anyone going to class? I mean, are they just standing around?
No, they're not. They're actually asking to defer finals and final papers because their social justice is interfering with their academic careers.
Yeah, there's no math and science going on in these institutions at all, and we wonder why we're importing engineers from other countries and we can't fill these good jobs. At the same time, these kids are deeply in debt and they get out and they can't find a job because they spent all their time looking around on the campus for microaggressions, which are so tiny you can't even see them.
No, you can't. When they fall out of your handbag,
That's
the
it.
only way of getting them back is to have a nice dirty Cosmo. A research foundation called Terrasem Movement, I think that's how you say it, Terrasem, is working toward its goal of building robots with human memories to replace loved ones after they die. They've already created a replica of the founder's wife called Bina 48 that simulates her voice and her opinions. Is this the future of grieving or a Twilight Zone episode?
Wow.
I absolutely love this.
Wow.
I do. Are you put off by the idea of artificially capturing your loved one's soul on an iPad?
On an iPad. I would love my dog with the fur. I mean, that's the only being that, like,
No other
God
family
forbid it
members?
happen.
Grandma?
I mean, my grandmother just passed away. I love her to death. I have really fond memories.
God rest her soul.
Phrasing.
I have wonderful
See, but
memories
she
of her.
could be here right now with us.
And she'd be complaining. She'd be saying,
Wow.
you know what she'd say to me? Speak, enunciate, slow down. And I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I can see that. Why did the guy make a copy of his wife? Is he planning on killing her? I mean, what was the deal with that? The CEO of the company?
Wow, I thought I was the
that
dark one in this panel. Melissa Francis, where did that come from?
I don't get any of this. I mean, we're cloning people. I don't have a family member that I want to clone, but I was thinking I have some friends I haven't heard from in a long time. That would be fun. You could bring
call
out
them,
your best
Melissa.
friend.
Would you love to live beyond eternity in a cloned smartphone with
Wow.
soft pleatherette skin?
Wow, I don't. Yeah, no. We just went to a very creepy place, and I think I'm going to back right out of it.
Well,
yeah.
you have to consider those things when
Live
you're
forever.
writing
Yeah.
your will.
Okay. No. I'm going to go with no.
You know, what was it called? Lars and the Real Doll?
Yes,
I mean, that's that movie. They need to make that, but where you can transport the soul. Like, what if a guy fell in love with a doll, but it had like his grandma's soul? Would there be a moral conundrum there?
Oh.
And would the
Wow.
grandmother be allowed to have an opinion on this? What if
Oh.
she doesn't want to be with her grandchild
Well,
for
tough
eternity?
You got to reboot her.
You know what? Yeah. If
So to
I
speak.
captured you like a firefly on a July night, you're mine. Possession's 9/10 the law.
A lot of good
I feel like you're
metaphors
going to
here.
cut this segment before the repeat, don't you?
I know, but I want a better edit. Hopefully, my edit will also live beyond eternity. This year, an estimated 50 million American workers will participate in March Madness office pools. The collective diversion will reportedly cost employers $4 billion in party cash and lost productivity on opening week alone, which I think is fine because once Bernie Sanders is president, like we're not even going to have to work at all.
Yes.
And college is going to be free, so all people are going to do is sit around and look at these fancy pants brackets. So let's see here. Let's focus on the West a little bit because I like Oregon. They are the #1 seed. I certainly have them going to the Final Four, and USC is losing for me in the first round. What about you? Is there anything interesting you see on there?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going to go with, there's one in Brooklyn, so I'll go to that one.
Because they have a wonderful cafe.
Brooklyn.
Iowa, I'm in Brooklyn. Iowa and Asheville. That sounds like it would be a great
Asheville, North
match.
Carolina. Yeah,
See,
that is
my
not
plan-
UNC. UNC is also the #1 seed.
My plan was to cheat off Kennedy because we have an office pool going, and I heard she's really good at this, so I'm just going to kind of take this with me because last year I picked Harvard to go all the way, and that did not work out.
Did you go
Isn't
all the
that
way at
weird?
Harvard?
My goodness, I walked right into that
You really
one.
did.
Where is my agent? I got to get out of here.
Are the fighting banana slugs
Would
in the
you like
running?
this?
Is that a thing?
No, Santa Cruz is only good at annoying everyone else to death. in
I'm
the
picking
UC system.
Spokane because that's where Twin Peaks is filmed, and that's coming
That's
back next
actually a
year.
great choice.
Who wins?
I think that's a great choice. Well, see, that's
Houston
the thing.
wins.
No, that's the city where they have.
Even I got that. When you got Brooklyn, I knew you were just going with the city where the game was
Lord.
being played.
It's this is like talking about Star Wars with jocks. It's very frustrating.
I know more about Star Wars.
I know that's true.
Go
That's
down
why
there.
I love you.
You could have done that, yeah.
All right. Well, I have to bid adieu and say thank you to Naomi, Michael, and Melissa.